Hello, friends. Thanks for tuning in. I have a special guest with me today, somebody I've known for a few years, and it's great to have you on the show again, my friend. Today, my guest is Andrew Wyant. He is the president of ISSA. Thank you, my friend. Once again, we meet and we talk. It's always good to see you.
Always good to see you too, Carl. Thank you so much, and thank you for having me on your show.
Well, it's an honor for me again. So this is a kind of a new series I started up recently. And one of the first people I thought of when I thought of success, my Mindset for Success series, is you, because you've done so many things with various companies. I know you've done so many things that I don't know about. And, you know, people like you are who I look up to as an inspiration for, running my business, learning more, foreseeing the future, and all these, how I can change my business and mold my pathway. And so, you know, with all the things you've done, there's been a lot of success involved, and congratulations on all of it. Well deserved. My first question is, what is your mindset? What is your mindset, or your how do you think of or define success?
Thanks, Carl. Those are such nice words, and I really appreciate you saying them. I think success is a word that's kind of highly charged in our culture, and I think that people view it as somewhat of a binary thing, as success and failure, and think of them as really kind of as opposed to each other. And I think it's really helpful to not think about it as binary. It's not you are successful, you are failure. You are neither. You are a person who is a child in this world, and one who is on your own good and enough as you are, exactly as you were created. And so when I think about success, I think about it as really a combination of so many factors and so many elements. But beyond anything else, to me, success begins with attitude. And if I were to think about the one thing that's led to my own personal successes, it has been an attitude. When you think about Sun Tzu and the Art of War, there are so many different interesting passages in there, but one of the most interesting to me about it is once you put your mindset past the possibility of failure, then success is inevitable. So to me, once you believe that it can be done, it can be. Henry Ford had a great quote that people use frequently. If you think you can or you think you can't, you're probably right.
Yeah, I love that quote.
So I've just added that to say, when you think about for yourself, for any individual, and you think about what is it that you want to do, where do you want to be, and then you think about those measures. The metrics of success, when you start to use external factors, if you start to say it's dollars of revenue or numbers in a bank account, those kinds of things they can be useful measures to track an individual metric. But ultimately, that's not really what success is going to be about. It's certainly not a lasting success or one that you feel inside of your soul, inside of your heart. And that, I believe, ultimately comes from doing what is truly your best and truly feeling that you've done your best. And that's back to this mindset of, I've decided that this is where I want to go. This is what I want to achieve. And once you've made that decision and you've committed yourself to that, the outcome can be whatever the outcome is. And if you can evaluate it and measure it on that level, then whether your business deal doesn't go as you expect, or whether it doesn't pay, or you don't achieve those numbers, those metrics, when you've done your best and you put it all out there, then to me, that's my definition. That's my definition of success. Now, outcomes can be great, and I've had great outcomes, and I've had outcomes that weren't what I thought. But that I can only control my actions and my attitude.
That's that there in itself is so profound. I think the a lot of cliche stuff goes around out there, like, it's not the hand that you dealt, it's how you deal with the hand, not the
Right.
cards you dealt, how you deal with the cards. I think of people, classics like Michael Jordan always talks about how many times he missed
Right.
but he took more shots than the rest.
Right.
Babe Ruth did more hits than the rest because he struck out more, and it's kind of like a numbers game in a way. But
Right.
we know that up here, there's something really, and in here, my heart, there's something really special going on, because without these things involved, they probably wouldn't be names we recognize so much.
Yeah. Well, I have 3 kids in my house at this point, and when I talk to the kids, the cliches are valuable for all those same reasons. And when I think about them, I'll ask the question. I'll say, when you're lining up a putt at miniature golf or at a golf course, and you're lining this up and you're about to putt it, if you putt it short of that hole, what do you think the chances are it's going to go in?
Short of the hole?
Short of the hole. 100% of the putts that don't make it to the hole don't go in.
Yeah, true. Yep.
100% of the shots you don't take don't go in.
Right.
When you start moving ahead, all that mindset, it's so valuable and so important, because what it's really about is eliminating fear. And I think of fear as the devil. I think of fear as the thing that slows people down and stops people from being who they can be and at their very best. And so it's not so much about conquering fear, because I think that fear is valuable. Fear is that voice that tells you, hey, maybe I should slow down around this corner. Right? But when fear is the voice that says, oh, it'll never happen, it'll never make it, I can't do this. I mean, starting my own business is too hard, and who's ever going to lend me money, and will anybody ever buy from me? All that negativity is all the voice of the devil. It's the fear voice that's coming into saying to you that you are less than, that you're not good enough as you are.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And to be who you can be and to live that life completely starts to come back to the fact that once you say, you know what, I am good enough. Now, I'm going to pause for 1 second. When I say that you are good enough as a human being. You can always add to your knowledge, your skills, and your abilities. And, I love the fact that today I get to run the ISSA. And after having 5 years of running NASM and having all the experiences I had there, all the successes and failures and the learning opportunities, to now be onto a new chapter in personal training where I get the chance to build a business all over again. Mm-hmm. I've taken the old playbook and I've thrown it out the window. Because I know what doesn't work and I know what can work. And what ultimately really works is setting people free. It's giving them opportunities. What's been so amazing to me is in the time that I've been over with the ISSA, both as a consultant now, as well as being actively involved in running the business, more than half of the old team at NASM, more than half the employees have reached out to me wanting to leave that company and come here. And so I take that personally as such a wonderful compliment to what we're doing here to change this business. It's not a personal thing for me. It is about them. It's about them knowing that they can create their own story, they can write their own story, they can create new opportunities, and that they will be entrusted with the opportunity to do what they do best.
Wow. You've got my head spinning here, because there are a lot of things that you mentioned that I can relate to. First of all, this is not about me, it's about you, but I'll just say real quick, I can relate to the fact that many people think they're not good enough. I thought that for decades. It really wasn't until like 9 years ago I started to think I could do anything other than be a drummer. And that was an accident that I found out I could do other things. So thankfully I had that accident. That pathway is unfolded now into something really interesting, where being around people like Brent Brookbush and you and so many other people I've met with, and in some cases I haven't had a lot of time, but there's been a lot of impact on the time I've had with those people. Words you say stick in my head. It's changed how I look at things. This year I have an instructor team now for my Parkinson's regeneration program. And it's so interesting because I have a couple people, I know they're really good. See, I think I see in them more than they see, even though they're pretty good, but they're actually really good. And I never thought about it in terms of setting them free, but I'm gonna have to digest this, because that is so relevant in them going out and delivering, or anybody going out and delivering education or training or whatever it is they're supposed to do. They don't have to be me. I don't want them to be me. I want them to be themselves. Just get the information out there. And I'm not going to tie this in together because I can't, because I'm digesting on camera, but this is really powerful. I appreciate that. That's right there, man. That setting them free.
Well, thanks. I appreciate you saying that. And I think this comes back to the belief, and belief being that foundation. When you have that belief and you make a choice, then anything's possible. So there's nothing that holds you back. And when I think about the things that I allowed to limit my vision in the past and limit the vision of NASM and what it could be, I had a vision when I joined NASM that it could be 4 times bigger than it was, 5 times, 10 times. And it achieved that vision. It became 5 times bigger over a 5-year period of time. And my vision today is so different. And not to belabor this, but I'll share with you just briefly what I see as possible today. When I joined ISSA, I wasn't thinking about this as how do I generate more sales and more EBITDA. I need to do that in order to drive the engine. But what I was really thinking about is how can I change the world? And the way that I can change the world today is there are a set of controllable diseases. There are a set of things that we know to be true. There are certain types of cancer, heart disease, diabetes. There are things that regardless of the genetic soup that we're made up of, that diet and exercise and rest and a positive mental attitude, all of that can lead to a healthier life. And it can help avoid some of those diseases. And it can help, in some cases, reverse those diseases as they've started. And this is not about kind of fantasy dreams of, the positive attitude will take care of everything. This is choices about what we put into our body, choices about how we treat our body, and choices about how we exercise. So here's my vision. My vision is the average personal trainer at any given time might have 20 clients that they have, and some clients, they might have 50 clients over the course of the year. My vision is that there are 350 million or so people in America today. Of that 300 million people, about 200 million of them are obese or are morbidly obese.
Yes.
If I can go out and train 200,000 people, if I can go out and train those people and they can touch 50 lives each, that would be 10 million people in America who are leading healthier lives. 10 million people who are demanding less of our medical system, less from our insurance companies, who are more productive, who are happier in their lives, who are helping their families lead healthier and better lives. And so that creates a snowball effect. And it's not one magic bullet. This is not a diet pill. This is not a particular exercise franchise or a wearable device that helps them. It is about changing people's lives. It's about changing the habits. So my goal today is I want to build a very large, successful company. Let there be no doubt. But the measure of what makes it a large, successful company is that we're changing people's lives. The more lives we change, the more revenue it generates, the more profit it generates, the more we invest in helping change more lives. And it becomes a virtuous cycle. And in some amazing case, 5 years or 10 years from now, you start to see where the business is even less important because there are so many more people who are leading healthier lives.
Yes.
But there are years to go before we reach that. And so when it comes to your vision of success and your topic for today's podcast, my vision for success is that if I've done everything I can to help drive that process, to bring in another 200,000 personal trainers and fitness professionals, and those people have then done their best and gone out and helped 50 people each, and we've changed 10 million people's lives. And those 10 million people live in households that have an average of 1.8 people per household. So now there's not just 10 million lives, there's another 18 million lives that get changed.
Yeah. That's really part of what, you actually spoke about this in our first interview. I think it was 4 years ago in Arizona.
Yep.
We were standing in that conference room. It was empty. And I remember you talking about the vision and the
Yep.
population and the obesity epidemic. And so now, okay, so here's another question for you then. You kind of just explained it. What do you see different in your vision now versus, let's say, 3 or 4 years ago in reaching more people?
So at that point, being a part
And
of,
I'm interrupting for 1 second. I'm very sorry because you already reached a lot of people at NASM
well,
because
thank you.
the company did grow a lot. A lot of
Yeah, no, it did.
new
It did. And
trainers, the master trainers, and so there's more people out there reaching people. But so now I'm sorry, I interrupted.
no, you're totally right. And I appreciate you saying that. And we grew the company dramatically. I think I would answer the question this way. Let me answer it by what I didn't achieve at NASM that I want to achieve now, and why this is different. At NASM, we were a division of a company called Ascend Learning, and we were owned by a private equity company called Providence Private Equity. And the people at Ascend Learning are good people. The people at Providence Private Equity are good people. And what happens is that being a part of that kind of business and rolling up to a private equity company, every decision that we made about how we would invest in new products, how many salespeople we would hire, what kind of investments we would make in the company, were all in the context of a much larger vision. And they were in the context of things that were way outside of the vision of trying to just help people.
I see.
So we had a set of financial requirements that we needed to deliver. We had a set of operating metrics that we were living under. And so now at ISSA, what's different is that we don't have those constraints. The gloves are off, the handcuffs are off. And so now we can invest much more heavily into that vision. At NASM, we really had kind of three key certifications. We had our base personal training, we had corrective exercise, and we had performance enhancement.
Right.
At ISSA, we have 10 certifications today, and we have a very, very powerful one in the world of nutrition because we partnered with Dr. John Berardi, who now runs Precision Nutrition, or is responsible for their content. He was a partner with the ISSA from before Precision Nutrition became a major player. Okay. And so when I look at what we do within ISSA, we're not limited. So what I want to do differently now is reach many more people.
I think that's great, man. I can see where, well, I don't know much about the structure of NASM. I know what you said about Ascend and then the other people above that owned by them, but it seems like that would restrict or maybe slow down a lot of the decision-making process too. So if you can move faster, that's going to be good too.
Yeah, and like any corporation, it requires lots of structure and lots of assessment and a planning process that involves a lot of checks and balances. And not to say there's anything wrong with that, but when you have kind of an annual capital expenditure cycle and you have we have a highly growing dynamic company, the reconciling that growth and the dynamic nature of that to the investment opportunity is one where we were responding to and dealing with issues that were completely outside of the spectrum of personal training space and our own growth. And I think just the best way to think about it is that being a part of a larger community gives you some strength. You have other businesses that you can turn to, but what it also does is it puts a governor or a limiter on what you can do and how fast you can do it. Not having that today says to me that I can turn on a dime. And if we see that there's a great opportunity to train seniors to become personal trainers, we did that earlier today. We have a senior fitness certification. And so we started advertising and promoting that to attract older Americans in to become a part of the personal training world. The idea being that seniors might be interested in having seniors train them, coach them.
Oh, and so nice.
Yeah, so it's proven already to be a terrific one. Now, seniors need to do business a little differently. they want more in writing. They are not quite as digitally savvy, but they're certainly digital. And so it's required us to think a little bit differently about the business. But what it has done is it's highlighted for me that people over the age of 50 are also another great audience to become personal trainers or nutrition coaches and the like.
That is amazing. I love the idea of seniors becoming trainers to help seniors, because one thing I run into, well, not personally because I'm 57, going on 58, but so when I'm training, when I'm a senior, when I work with seniors, they don't see such a huge age gap because there really isn't one between me and a lot of them. But take the 25, 30-year-old and a 70-year-old. Not every time, of course, but there are a lot of times where they're not. The young person may want to help the senior, but the senior isn't so comfortable around the younger person.
Yeah.
And then the younger person may not really want to work with seniors, or I don't know. Sometimes I think because of certain aches and pains I have, I relate to them.
Yeah. Well, you made a great point, which is that to be an effective trainer to seniors when you're 20 or 25 years old, one of the things you have to realize is that first of all, everyone's a human being, and once somebody becomes kind of a category or representative of an area, they're a person, right? So that person, you're helping that individual. And then the second part, which I think is incredibly powerful, is that we forget that when we're 25, we're indestructible. If we go really hard and we overdo it, well, you're going to get a good night's sleep. You're going to wake up tomorrow. You're going to recover quickly.
Right.
And when your recovery time is such that, when the stove is hot, you don't want to keep touching it. And so
Exactly.
you might not push it as hard. And then the recognition, especially as you become more senior, the risks of falls and the injuries and the recovery from falls, that becomes a very different view. So how you approach a senior is such a different concept based on whether that person is an active 60 or a sedentary 70.
Yeah, true. Very true. Yeah, there's such variation there, so many different factors to consider. I love that. That's a great certification. And so you said you just started that one?
Well, we just started marketing it and promoting it. And what's been wonderful is the reaction we've had. And part of this is that you want to feel vital. You want to feel like you are included, that you are a part of something. And when you are a person who's been in the workforce and you've retired, and suddenly people aren't kind of lining up to listen to what you have to say, and you don't have the water cooler to gather in, feeling that same sense of connection or connectivity to others becomes harder. And so what we can do for folks is that you may have been retired from your first career, but we're now giving you something that you can wake up in the morning and feel like, hey, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to work at the gym.
Yeah, I love that. We deal with a lot of seniors in my business here, my training business, but of course a lot of them happen to have Parkinson's, and the workshop I teach is Parkinson's all over the world. But it's not just that what we find is the condition or disease that may cause you to move less than optimally or may cause you to fall may vary. It could be MS, could be just poor balance, could be Parkinson's, could be a lot of things. But the training to get you back is very similar a lot of times. So what happens is we get a lot of people from different demographics coming in with just what I was mentioning, different movement disorders, maybe just bad balance. But what we notice within that is because of those issues they're facing, it's not uncommon to see them withdraw from society a little bit. And that's when it gets kind of scary sometimes and sad, because now they're withdrawing. Maybe their emotional state isn't as positive or upbeat. And so being able to do something like this, or maybe have an opportunity like you're offering here as a senior trainer, or a trainer who is a senior,
right? Maybe
training other seniors. Think of all the relationships that could build off of that, and they're all involved in a different way, and they're getting out more. So that's so good, especially for people who liked being social. So I love this. Great idea, man.
Well, thanks. I love it. And I think, you just said something that's really powerful, which is I think that we are meant to be in relationship with others. I think, we're meant to do that and be here for that. And so when you think about that, the concept of being in relationship with others, and anything that we do that promotes that is good. We're in such a divisive time in our country's history when people have taken opposite sides of issues, and the vitriol and the conversation is such that when I think about what we can do to build bridges and bring people together, this is just another way of putting some good out into the universe. So to me, it's very gratifying. And, I'll go back to success. And if I think about how would I view success, my own measure, we talked about doing the best we can and doing this. My own measure comes back to that idea of, have I made the world a better place? Have I started change? Have I helped push that along? And it may not turn out. It may not turn out that 10 million or 20 million people become more fit and more focused and lead better lives. And I may not turn out that I help bring people more into relationship with each other. But that's how I'm measuring my success, is, am I doing what I can to do that? And this is a part of that. And so for you personally, I would just close with this. What you're doing for people who are suffering from the effects of Parkinson's is awesome. And for one person who has more mobility and who has a better quality of life for the period of time that they are on this planet, that alone is a success. And so the fact that you change one person's life is fantastic. And you're in front of so many people and helping people right now that I think you can really take that as a huge measure of success, and one that you can be proud of, and all of your viewers to this podcast can as well.
Well, thank you very, very much. I can say this, and I'll only keep you on a couple more minutes. Thank you. I was a musician for a long, long time, and I played with some really great bands. We had gigs. We were really cool. We played for thousands of people, and it was a rush. I'm not going to say it wasn't a rush when you have 2, 3, 4, 5,000 people stand up, give a standing ovation, and then you sell like 60, 70, 80 CDs or whatever and try to recoup some of the money. But that pales in comparison to when I see somebody in a workshop, and I have countless stories, who rolls over for the first time in 5 years because we teach them how to roll. I didn't make it up. I got that from Perry Nicholson, and he's happy that I'm doing it. I take all these people like Brent and all these others and put it together and deliver it with a Parkinson's focus. When I see somebody walk for the first time after brain surgery because of, actually a product that Dr. Emily has, the Naboso products, which is just amazing. But, I'm a giver of information. They're doing the work, but it is so much more gratifying to see those people move better and do better, way more than an ovation from a band, because not only did a lot of times they come in feeling defeated, and then when they regain what we would consider normally a simple daily, task or ability, which may not be for them, but now they got it back. They turn this, and this goes through the roof in positivity, and they go from being defeated to a fighter. I have the best job in the world. I love it. So thank you for that. I have 2 questions. Do you have any last words of wisdom you'd like to share for, let's say, trainers or educators out there who are out there like myself? Any advice you'd like to offer? And the second question is, where can people find out more about you, ISSA? And then I'll let you go.
Well, thank you. I think that it's been said, as you said, borrowing from people who have great ideas. I will tell you, people like to be seen, valued, and heard. And as a trainer, as an educator, as a speaker, connecting with people, bringing that human connection to show people that you care, that you see them, that you value them, and that you hear them. When you demonstrate that to people, that is the way that we build relationships, we create trust, and that we all benefit. And so I would say to you, my advice to people who are doing any of those things is to recognize the person as a person, see them for who they are, and recognize and view them in that way. And then, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not all that interesting. I appreciate the fact that you're talking about success. What's really interesting is, I think, the fact that I like to help people be the best they can be, and I get my own personal gratification out of the organization achieving goals.
Yeah.
I have never once sold a single personal training certification, not one. I've given some away, but I've never sold anything. I'm not the person who drives the revenue. I'm not the person that results in the ISSA having the highest ratings of any of the personal training companies in terms of the student reviews. I have not taught anybody. I haven't graded any papers. I haven't done any of that. So what I do is I help those people achieve everything that they can do in their jobs. So I would say to you, if you're looking for more, I would go to issaonline.edu, and you'll see about our various certifications and check out the reviews. And if you're interested in furthering kind of your view of success, and as you keep interviewing other people, I've been a huge fan of gathering, just as you are, some of the best minds, and some of the best minds, whether they be like a Maya Angelou and her words, it doesn't have to be poetry. But I know for me, the one thing that fits always is attitude.
Yeah.
And attitude is what we can control.
I like what you said earlier too about your belief in something or not as a decision.
Yep.
When you decide to believe in yourself, for example, I used to struggle all the time. Oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. And then, finally it got into my head. Why not?
Right.
Why not me? There are people who have all kinds of problems that I never had to face, and they're doing great things. If you don't mind, I'm going to ask you to just hang on for 1 minute after I pause the recording. But I want to thank you, Andrew Wyant, so much for being with me. It means a lot to me for you to take this time, because I know you're very, very busy. But I wish you all success, which I know you will have at ISSA, and we'll be watching what you do. Thank you very much, my friend.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You got it, buddy.